Welcome to another episode of Green World, and in this we are going to discuss planting. So there's obviously, as with most of the topics that we cover here, there's going to be a lot of information that we probably will not cover in this video initially. But as the time goes on and we keep developing these topics, we're going to get more and more into the details of all this stuff. As always, like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So today we're talking about planting, all right? And so we're going to cover all the things that go into planting one individual unit. And then obviously you can scale that up and plant as many plants as you want. But the first thing, and one of the most important things to installing a plant, is going to be committing to your layout. So in committing to a layout, this is when you're going to want to identify the hours of sun and shade. And when you kind of get a rough estimate of the hours of sun and shade that a location receives, then you can go online or to a nursery and look at the tags that are attached to the ornamentals about the requirements for sunlight. And once you've kind of figured out whether it's full sun, part shade, or full shade, then you can make a determination of the types of ornamentals. And so once you figure out what type of ornamentals you're going to want to see in that bed, then you can kind of make a design. All right, and so once you have your design, stick with it. All right, so that's number one. Then you're going to want to place your bed. And so we're going to do a completely separate video on design, but the rule of thumb when designing a bed is you want your higher material to be in the back, and then obviously smaller in front. And so one thing when thinking about that is you want to be judging the taller material and the shorter material by finished growth heights, not by the size that they are going to be in the container. Now normally it will be a mirror image of their finish heights, but occasionally during some times of the year, fall especially, you can get some smaller units that may end up being a little bit deceiving. So just make sure you do the research, read the tags on the finished growth heights of these plants, and then you can place them accordingly with the higher material in the back and the shorter material in the front. And that gives you a kind of stair step or terraced look, and it makes all the plant material be completely visible. All right, and so once you kind of placed your plants, then you want to assess the soil. And so at that point in time, you know, you're gonna be looking at your plants in a bed that you have placed on top of the ground, and you can look at the soil as a whole, or you can look at the soil in each individual spot where the plants will go. And then you can add amendments. So if you decide that you're going to amend the whole bed as one, then you could spread like an inch or two of topsoil across the surface, or you can amend per hole. And so as you would be digging those holes, you're going to remove your root material, etc., from the holes, or any other debris that you find, old bricks, etc. You know, one thing that sticks out to me to mention is some of the areas that have a more clay-based soil, the amendments are going to be key because you want to get some soft organic matter in the immediate areas that are contacting the root ball, so roots can push out from their containered root ball into the fresh virgin soil easier than just, you know, going into the brick wall that is clay. So then you've made your amendments, you've got your bed placed, you've committed to your layout. Now it comes time to dig your holes. All right, and so one thing that's very important is in the worst quality of the soil, the larger the hole will be. But you know, where we're working down here, we're in soft sandy soil, and so we're gonna traditionally just amend the surface and mix it as we plant it, because roots have no problem pushing out here. And so one important thing is when you do dig the hole, you want it to be larger than container. So that just means give that plant a large hole, so as I said before, it can push roots into virgin soil. And so when you're digging that hole and the plant is sitting in the hole, this is very, very important. Crown. So the crown of a plant is where the stem attaches to the roots. And that is going to be the most important area on your containerized plant or any plant when you put it in the ground. And so what I always like to think is plant the plant a little bit high, about 0.5 inches to 1 inch. And what that does is that ensures that the plant is not going to be sitting in a low spot and have water accumulating on it, which means it will not drown. And another thing it ensures is that you're not going to bury the crown of the plant beneath the soil, which will suffocate it. And so once you have dropped your plant in the hole, you've checked the level of the crown, and you want to be careful because don't use the plastic container as your judgment to measure off of. Use the actual soil depth inside the container to judge the crown height. And so once you have it in and you know it's not too low, then you can go ahead and push your soil back in. And so when I say smooth the soil, you want to slope up to crown. And so a cross section of what that would look like is, here's your stem, here's your potted plant, here's your soil line. So here's this. Here's the crown right here, here's your foliage. And so what you want to do is you want to slope up to that container. And that ensures that the water will run off of the crown and that plant will have a good moisture controlled area to live. And so once the soil is smooth, as with any installation of perishable materials, water. I'm gonna put an exclamation point there, because I will guarantee you, if they are planted at this height and you've done the things that we talked about and you give it a ton of water whenever you get done planting that ornamental, then your success rate is just going to be so much higher. But anyway, don't forget these steps. I know this is something very basic, like planting a plant. It's just basic. You just don't put much thought into it. But you would be surprised at the amount of failure that happens among homeowners from planting a plant too low or not checking your hours of sun and shade. There's a lot of mistakes being made. And so keep it basic, keep it simple, follow these rules, and you will be successful. And keep a lookout. We're gonna do a video showcasing the majority of a job that we just completed. Yeah, give me my money. Give me my money. That's right. All right, come on. But in the meantime, enjoy this video and good luck with it.